last summer. The kids are out of school, your customers are out on vacation, and you may get a little bit out of your rhythm. The seasons change, and so do sales cycles. In a recent survey, nearly 75% of businesses reported a drop in summer sales of over 20%, and 1 in 5 had dips of 40% or more. No need to sweat it, though. Just chill with us for a bit, because today we're talking about surviving the summer slump.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kingdom Builders Academy podcast. We're excited to be with you this summer, and we're talking about all things seasonal and cyclical and what to expect in the summer of 2024. So Coach Tam, talk to us. You almost named this episode the Summer Sales Slump.
Well, and then you so correctly pointed out that there are other slumpifying elements of summer. And so we're going to talk about a lot of different things, but summertime, it's like the lazy, hazy days of summer, the heat and the humidity, and sometimes summer can be a bummer. That's the truth. And especially when we talk about business, because our clients, a lot of them are going on vacation, our colleagues, a lot of them are out, and the kids are home, and there's just a little bit of crazy in the air. And so we wanted to talk about what we can do to beat the heat and avoid the burnout in business and in life during the summer season. So my co-hosts and I have each brought some great ideas, and I have a few for you as well. But because this episode was inspired by our own dearly loved Sunny Bunny, the sunniest, bunniest in the forest, I am going to pass off to you, Bunny Girl. You epitomize summer. I look at you and I see summer. So hippity hop buns, what you got?
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Well, let me just tell you what actually inspired this episode for me is a friend of ours and a friend of this community. And that is D. He goes by D as a worship leader, but his name is Terrell Wilson. And he is an incredibly gifted, anointed songwriter, producer, and worship leader. And I happened to catch him really talking to pastors around the world on social media about the summer slump. And it was kind of interesting because, I don't really fit his demographic, but I was watching and he was like, school is out, people are on vacation, help your pastor out. And he said, worship leaders, you have got to help do some of the heavy lifting, because while there are a lot of people traveling and there are a lot of people that are not going to be in service, or they're kind of transient, as they're going on vacation this summer, there are people in your church. There are people who are going to be around for the summer. Their kids are in summer camps. They're still working. They're still in the business of church. And he said, you've got to help your pastor. He goes, listen, you need to catch the summer vibe and ride that wave for the next 8 weeks. He said, God needs more than a ballad, okay? It's summertime. We've got popsicles and pool parties and barbecues and beach time and all the things. He goes, you've got to bring that summertime fun right into your worship set. He goes, when your people step in, don't you want them to feel refreshed and renewed? It's a new season, kind of in the world of seasons, and it should be a new season spiritually. He goes, let's let those things be congruent. So he was just talking about help your pastor out, get the people in the right frame of mind. So when your pastor takes the platform, he's energized and he's getting that good feedback energy from his members. And so then, I don't know, I always feel like social media is listening. Then I started getting all of these videos from small business owners. Some were in the coaching space. Some are people that Zachy and I actually know who were talking about as business owners surviving the summer slump and just talking about the challenges that they faced, every year for the last 5 years and where they're at right now and what's their plan, because it's time to pivot. It's not business as usual because summertime is here. And I just thought, well, if it's good enough for social media, by golly, it is good enough for our people. And if it's real for worship leaders, and if it's real for pastors, and if it's real for everyone online, it must be real for us and our people too. So I just thought, man, let's talk about it. Because sometimes you might not see that coming. And then you get caught in the middle of it and you're going, why? Nobody is here. My business seems to be shrinking, and you panic. So I just thought, let's talk about it. Let's get a plan. Let's prepare to pivot. Let's get pumped up, and let's not, swelter under the hot sun of the summer heat as we make it through summer. So those were my thoughts.
Yeah.
What a great exhortation for worship leaders from Pastor D. Wilson. I call him D.
Yep.
But you said his name's Terrell.
Yep.
But why do we call him D?
It's a long story, but it just ended up that D worked out. It was easy. Everyone could remember it and I think use it and say it. It was commercial. He's probably right.
All right. Well, yeah, D is spot on with that. And I think that a lot of pastors do need that, and not just during the summer, but they need to be encouraged year round. And a lot of times those of us who are communicators, we're our own worst critics. And we look at all of the places where we feel like we could have done better, or we failed, or we didn't drive that point home very well. And so I think that's a great reminder to be an encourager to your pastor, and showing up at church is a great encouragement. And that's good for us during the summer slump too, right, Zach?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that message. Love this idea. So I think it'd be helpful just to kind of lay out the landscape for everybody, because our students here live and our listeners on the podcast and watchers on YouTube are kind of at all phases and stages, but a lot of people that are in their first few years of business and this kind of thought leader influencer space. And, some businesses are super cyclical, meaning, there's cycles, there's kind of up cycles and down cycles. So, some businesses are like, just based on the holidays. Other businesses, like, if you sell fireworks, you got 4th of July and New Year's Eve, right? Like there's only so many days of the year. I'd say the thought leader business isn't that cyclical. It's really not that cyclical, but there are some highs and low seasons. There are some slumps and there are some bumps. So I'd say like the bump seasons are beginning of the year, spring, new things, new life. The fall, again, just kind of a start of a new season. Even December can be a really good season, even though that's kind of a holiday season. But the summer is maybe the biggest slowdown, where people kind of tend to unplug. That's kind of what you see in the summer, is people pull back a little, they unplug a little, and that can create a sense of a slowdown. Now, I think there's a couple things that you can do with that. One is you can kind of, just ride the wave of the summer, and hey, maybe you pull back a little yourself. Maybe you schedule yourself some vacations, or you could say, hey, I can actually use this as a separation season. So I've heard that around kind of the holidays. A lot of people will kind of unplug from like Thanksgiving to New Year's Day and take like 5-6 weeks off. And, I've heard people talk about that's a separation season if you're an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur that is in the game and will put your head down and will keep the momentum going, that's a separation season. That's where you can get a few steps ahead. That's where you can separate yourself from your competition, and just even separate yourself from where you were a few months ago. So I like to actually, just recognize the seasons, kind of discern the times and what season we're in, and kind of make a decision about what to do with it. One, am I going to just, hey, let it be a little bit of a vacation season for me, a little slower bit of a season, a little bit of a sabbatical Sabbath season? If so, that's great. Use the season for that. Or you can use it as a separation season and say, hey, I'm going to put my head down. And while everybody else is, unplugging and traveling, I'm going to keep the momentum going. This is actually a really good time for me to, spend time with the Lord, spend time in my business, work on a project, whether it's that curriculum or that book or that client acquisition strategy, whether it's a new funnel or a new launch that you can be working behind the scenes on. That's great. Use it as a separation season that way where you can put your head down. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. We're doing a launch in like 2 weeks, so we've got an event with Tim Tebow, June 20th and June 21st. We're going to be launching the promotion for that here any day. But hey, we're doing a launch. It doesn't mean you can't do a launch. It doesn't mean you can't have a successful, even record-breaking launch. So the summer slump, it can be a little bit of a mindset. We could get like kind of dragged into like, oh, it's not a good season. Oh, less people are showing up on my calls. Oh, less people are booking calls with me. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it as either a Sabbath season, a separation season, a push through season, and just recognize that, there's slump seasons and there's pump seasons. And, that's just part of the roller coaster ride you're on as an entrepreneur. And sometimes it's good to just kind of level with that and come up with a plan of, hey, how am I going to make the most of this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my mom, she used to have these wonderful memories that she would talk about quite frequently of her days at summer camp. And Bunny, I don't know if you remember it. I was really trying to remember it. And because it's long and it's Indian sounding. And I know it starts with a W, but it was like Camp Winnipesaukee. And she would go arch. She was a champion archer. That's where she learned, was at Camp Winnipesaukee, we're going to call it. And there were campfires and sing-alongs, and they would go rowing on the lake, and they would do these huge stage productions, musicals and plays. And she spoke of it with such reverence. For some reason, she never saw fit to send me to a glorious summer camp, but she had these wonderful memories of summer camp. And as I was thinking about this topic of the summer slump, I just thought, we can make our own summer camp. I mean, I didn't get to go to summer camp, but that's okay. We're adults. We can make our own summer camp during the summer slump. For example, summer is a fantastic time to read a book, but it's also a great time to write a book. Sure is. Or you could plan your next launch, or you could create a new video program, a new course. You could write an email nurture campaign or plan a social media calendar. You could start a podcast during the summer or take a copywriting course. You could kind of fill in the blank on some of the skill sets where you lack confidence and you lack ability. You could choose for your summer camp to build up those skills. You could learn how to produce and edit videos. So you could think of the summer as a slump, or you could think of it as summer camp for adults, summer camp for creators. And there's all kinds of adventures that you could explore. You can't change the season, but we can change the way that we think about the season. We can change our mind about how we're going to respond to the season. So instead of wallowing in a summer slump, you can make these months some of the most productive and creative times of your entire year.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Coach Tam. And even you can even get a little combo. We've talked about having like different kind of like mastermind retreats, writing retreats, because I think, look, if it's a good time for you to travel and it's a good time for you to take a break, then by all means you should do that. Something that we try to structure within our own business and for our students inside of Kingdom Builders Academy are rest seasons. So we're not saying like, oh, like skip the rest season, just go hard. But like, discern the times, discern what's right for you. The way we like to structure our year is kind of in a trimester, where it's kind of like 3 months on, 1 month off, 3 months on, 1 month off, 3 months on, 1 month off. In that 1 month off, maybe you're not taking 30 days off. Maybe you're, just finding a long weekend or a week that you can actually take a vacation, but to let it be a little bit of a buffer, to kind of finish the project from the last season and to kind of reset and get ready for the next season. So it's one of my favorite things is to just kind of look at the calendar strategically and kind of blueprint what we're going to do. So that would probably be our challenge to you today, is to just, we're right at the beginning of the summer, And I'd encourage you, to take 15 minutes, spend it with the Lord, get your calendar out, kind of discern the season that you're in and like, hey, what am I going to do with this summer? Get intentional about the summer and make it a beautiful season where, you can get creative, you can spend time with the Lord, you can kind of reset, refresh, and stay in momentum. That's the biggest thing I would say. Jillian, you've talked about rust out actually in the past. We had an episode on burnout and how, you can kind of get burned out from, burning the candle at both ends and working too hard. But the risk of, taking the whole summer off and unplugging is rust out. Would you just kind of refresh that concept for us, honey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that, we can fall asleep at the wheel if we're not careful. And especially if you have kids at home, or if you're a caretaker in any way, when it feels like everyone's at home and everyone is resting and playing and doing all the things, you can kind of get sucked into the tidal wave of that. And then you just feel like you're lost in a fog and feeling like I can't even find my focus. And then you blink and the summer's over and everyone's back to school and it's time to buy pencils and launch and all the things, and you're like, what just happened? So you just don't want to get rusty. I was thinking about this movie, Judy Moody and the Not So Bummer Summer. And Judy Moody had all these glorious plans for what she was going to do over the summer. She had the big board. They had meetings in the treehouse. There was a summer fun council. Everyone was clear on exactly what they were going to do. And they had awarded themselves a point system. There were going to be so many points for this and so many points for that. And whichever friend got the most summertime points at the end was going to be declared the winner and get an ice cream sundae. I don't really know. The point is, at the very last minute, everything falls apart for Judy Moody. One of her friends is going to Paris for the summer. Another friend is going to Camp Winnipesaukee. And all of a sudden, she becomes the cheese that stands alone. And this is where I want to encourage you not to get rusty, but to get ready. Because you know what? It's okay if you're not going to Europe this summer. Can I just tell you? I'm not going to Paris this summer. It's okay if you are not going on a fancy vacation or, doing something really incredible in terms of like, travel or maybe something classically summer. If you're like, I'm going to be kind of at home base this summer, whether I've got kids or a cat or a guinea pig or no pig at all, it's just going to kind of be you and your husband or your family or yourself at home. Did you know that that's okay? Did you know that it's still totally possible to have the not so bummer summer? And I love this idea of not getting rusty, but ready. Judy Moody said, you know what? Her aunt came into town. Her parents, they did leave actually to go on vacation. And she said, the aunt came in and said, guess what? We're going to make our own fun time summer board right here in town. And she came up with all of these things, goals and ideas. And just like Coach Tam was saying, have you asked yourself, what should I be getting out of the summer? Because it isn't just how you show up for your clients, but it's how are you showing up for yourself? What is it? This is the time when things are in full bloom. So I would say to you, make a big board for the summer and think of some fun things maybe you normally wouldn't get to do in your business. Is there a really cool challenge that you would love to do with your clients to kind of help them shift gears a little bit, to keep their minds engaged, to keep transformation going? Because just as easy as it is for you to get rusty, it would be easy for your clients to get rusty too. Oh, I'll work on my health later because right now we're just, we're eating and the kids are home and we're just really pulling back. And you know what? Like there's room for a little bit of that. There's plenty of space to pull back and have some fun. But I would say, how can you help your clients engage? Just like we talked about earlier about worship leaders, turning up the music, changing the vibe, helping people to shift into kind of a new energy for summer, a new season. Do it for yourself and do it for your clients. What are tangible things? Well, this is what we normally do. But nope. In this summer, we've got summertime sales and summertime specials and summertime challenges. We've got a new goal. Did you know the summer is a great time for short-term goals for you and for your clients? Maybe you want to do a book writing challenge, or maybe you want to do some sort of relationship challenge. This is the time where you can make bite-sized goals, bite-sized wins, so that when you step into fall and you're in the second half of the year, you are ready to go. You're limbered up and ready. It wasn't like you got rusty over the summer and now it feels like you're way behind, like you're way behind the 8 ball. I say small, quick wins, easy things, short summertime goals for you and your clients that help to make things fly by in a great way so that you actually are in a better place, better positioned, better like oiled and ready to go come August and September than you would have been if you just kind of, hummed along all summer.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that is, Zack mentioned it earlier too, is the thing of to just stay in momentum, unless you're really feeling called for a season of sabbatical and pulling back. But it's a great time to sort of reassess things. Take a look at your website and say, how can I improve this? Look at your email campaign that you wrote maybe 5 years ago that still welcomes new visitors. Is there some way that I can update that? And I would say too that for those of you who are active on social media, and I hope that's all of you, I hope you're all getting your message out there on social media. It's an awesome opportunity to do that. Is don't quit posting during the summer. Like, keep posting, because even though maybe people aren't replying to you as much, or they're not engaging as much, not liking as much, they're still scrolling. They didn't take the whole summer off of social media. They're still scrolling, and it's good for you to stay on their radar and to keep brand visibility. And one final thought I have to you, and then I'm going to pass it off to Zack for the final words here. But you can also continue bringing in clients and referrals during the summer, and you can do it in a summer fun way. And I'll give you an example of this. Is my husband, Matt, is in IT sales. And now he's mostly retired. He works with my other son, Andrew, and Andrew has taken over his book of business. But I can tell you that we have never been on a vacation, not once that I can ever think of, that Matt did not make friends and end up making clients and getting referrals. And he doesn't purpose to do that. He doesn't think to himself, well, I'm going to go talk to people and find new clients. What he thinks is, I'm going to get to know the people that are on this cruise ship or in this restaurant or at this event that we're going to, and he will make friends. And as those new friendships evolve, they will like him, and they will say, what do you do? And he will talk about it. And I'm telling you, so many times where Matt has just stepped away for 10 minutes, he ends up coming back and saying, oh, come over here. I want to introduce you to this guy. He's the head of all of the aerospace engineers over at this particular place. And, he runs their IT department, and he's getting me into all of their branches. This has happened so many times. So I just encourage you with that little testimony is that wherever you go, you can make friends. And as you make friends, and they get to know you, they get to like you, it's very natural that people say, what do you do? What do you do? And then you can talk about what you do, and you'll end up with clients and referrals.
Yeah, love that. Love that, Coach Tam. So yeah, I love this topic. Final word on summer is, I think the seasons are a gift from God. I really do. God is totally a God of seasons, and the seasons that we have in our life, and even just the 4 seasons throughout the year, are a gift from God. So, last little call to action is to just get intentional, get purposeful about this summer season and what God has in store for you, whether it's a project, whether it's a rest, whether it's a reset, whether it's a new initiative. Just get intentional, spend time with the Lord, discern the time, and figure out what this summer season is going to be about for you. And then go do it. Go run at the pace of peace and be consistent and be faithful to what's in front of you. And it'll be a blessed season. So love this time with you guys. Love you. Bless you. See you next time on the KBA podcast. Bye, everybody.